Welcome to episode 117 of Enhancing Human Experience podcast. How's it going today? I hope your day is awesome, and I hope that you're ready to pick up some awesome tips and tricks and insights and practices to help you get more of what you want in your business and your life. My guest today is my good friend Gary Gilgen. Now, Gary and I met back in 2012 at a Transcendental Meditation, group meditation, and shortly thereafter, we connected, we had a lot in common, we worked on some projects together, and I really got a lot out of knowing Gary and learning from his own experience and his own journey in life. And that's exactly what he shares in this episode of the podcast. You know, Gary is someone who totally dives in and goes all in to whatever he's involved in, whether it's a business thing, whether it's a personal development thing. I mean, he just goes all in. There's no baby stepping in like I tend to do. There's no should I do it? Should I not? He makes a firm decision to do something and goes all in. And that is what was really inspiring about Gary. And I learned so much from him. In this episode, he shares a lot of things that he's picked up on his own journey, including using psychedelics and other drugs, ayahuasca, to help him, remove a lot of the baggage and stuff that we accumulate in our life and really touch that point of who we really are and what we're really meant to do in the world and become like purifying ourselves, right? So he talks a lot about that, which I thought was totally fascinating. Also, he shares some of his other work with Personal Success Institute. He just got back from a trip to California to help facilitate one of their group organization type meetings. And he talks about that, which I'd never heard about PSI before this interview. So a lot of goodness in this interview. Now, I realize it is pretty long, but if you can stick with it, I know you will pull some nuggets that you can apply in your own personal development rituals and routines that'll help you get more of what you want in life. As I was editing the interview yesterday afternoon, I had a note open on the side and I was taking notes like crazy, things that I want to incorporate in my own routine. Gary shared so much goodness in this episode, and I know it's going to be beneficial to you on your journey. All right, without further ado, let's jump into it and see what Gary has to say. Gary, thanks for coming by, hanging out with me.
Yeah, of course, man. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too, man. So excited to hear what you got going down. I know you got big things in the works. You always have big things in the works.
Yeah, man. This year, it's been how long have we known each other now? Since
I want to say maybe 2013.
That is 2013.
Do you buy that? Do you concur?
Because we met at Penny's house for the TM meetup. We met through TM.
Well, we did meet through TM, but didn't we meet before? Oh, you're right. We met at Penny's and then at Trent's.
Right.
I had that conversation and things kind of popped off at that point. But
right.
You're right, at Penny's house.
Yeah, in fact, TM was a big shift because actually TM, dude, you're taking me back now, 2013, because January 2013 is when I learned TM, and that was like a major quantum leap for me, learning TM.
Me too.
And so then I met you, started that kind of cycle and the relationship with you and I. Mm-hmm. And this year too, January has been these cycles of time, What I've really noticed this year is that time is not linear. Our minds perceive it as linear, but it's cyclical.
Oh, really? What do you mean by that?
I almost look at time and karma is the same. It goes in these cycles and they expand and contract like breathing. And I am hyper aware, especially this year, of cycles in my own life and how they come back around to teach us lessons. And if we don't learn the lesson, then we're bound to continue to repeat them over and over until we do. And sometimes we never learn the lesson.
That's hell.
Yeah, that is hell. That's your own personal hell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would suck.
So do you find that when you come back around, you have a different perspective and a different detachment from certain situations?
100%.
So it almost
I do, at least in my own personal
I do. I feel that same way as well. I just never really thought about it as as like a cyclical thing, but I see it now. So it's almost like there were layers, like maybe disc layers, and you're just up a couple discs looking.
Yes. So you've played Mario Brothers?
Yes, I know what it is. I'm not excellent at it, but I have played it.
But still, there's levels.
Yeah.
And you can look at it like climbing a ladder. There's level 1, level 2, level 3, but also we count time in cycles. That's why 365 days in a year. If you look at it, it's a cycle. Yeah. It's not a linear graph. It's not a line. It's
and
a
cycle. And the sun goes around the earth, the earth goes around the sun, right?
Right. And I've just become super aware, especially this year, about these cycles that continue to repeat in my life. And within those repeated experiences are lessons for me to learn. And if I learn them, then I evolve and I get to go to another level. And on that level, the same obstacles will be there, but they're in a different form. Mm-hmm.
Or you're in a different form.
Right. Oh, of course, I'm in a different form, but also those obstacles, because the obstacle is just stimulation that stimulates you to evolve. Because I believe that the purpose of life is just evolution. We come as these conscious beings in this skin suit, which is just a biomechanical robot suit, and we're just having this experience called life, and things happen in life, and they stimulate us to evolve in this never-ending, infinite reality.
Yeah.
That just has no beginning, the symbol of infinity has no beginning and no end.
Right.
Same with life. And humans, in their infinite egotism, think that they know. Some people think that they know where we came from. Some people think that they know where you're going.
I think that makes them feel more comfortable. They're like, I got it all figured out.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, because that's one of the 6 ghosts of fear, is the fear of death. Mm-hmm. The fear of death is something that haunts us all at some level.
Yeah.
And those, for lack of better words, fairy tales ease us into what might happen when you die.
Yeah.
And but just thinking about what we just talked about is like these cycles, because in 2013 I learned TM, which is such a powerful tool that I learned in 2013, and it shifted my consciousness. It therefore shifted my entire reality. I remember after learning TM, within a month my whole life changed. Dude, I love talking about this. So on over Christmas of 2012, I went to Argentina for 14 days with a business partner of mine. And during that trip, I was going through a lot of introspection. I owned a telemarketing business that was doing really well. And I'd achieved like material success. Like I was driving my dream car, living in an amazing house, traveling the world, but inside, like I just wasn't satisfied. It's like,
you had the material stuff, but
I was just like,
would you say it was hollow or empty or just not?
It was just unfulfilling.
Okay, sure.
To me, at this stage, a car is a car. I love cars. I still love cars, but at the end of the day, a car is just a tool that gets you from A to B. Yeah. And so most people I feel are trying to find their self-worth and their own personal value in things. And so I was going through this introspective time, and just a lot of introspection. Came back and I was asking for something. I was like, I need something new. And then I had a friend that I hadn't spoke to in years, and we ended up connecting, and he led me to Brendan Bouchard. Brendan Bouchard set me on the kind of the coaching path, saying, hey, we all have this personal story, and with our experience and with our story, we can help other people. It's like, oh, dude, I think I got a pretty good story. Yeah. I got some pretty good experiences. And so I think I could help people. And then within a week of that, I find TM. And even like the person that taught us TM, Penny, very special woman.
Oh, isn't she? Yeah.
I mean, she taught the Beatles.
Yeah.
She freaking hung out with George, dude.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it doesn't get any cooler than that.
I love hearing her stories.
Me too. She's like, they're just regular people. You know, she's so modest.
She's so accustomed to, and modest and accustomed to it. It's nothing to her.
Right. They're just people.
Right.
But they
Which
really are.
really are, but still, it's
Totally
still cool.
They all wipe their butts.
Yeah.
Almost got a thumbs down.
I won't give you a thumbs down for language. It's only if the audio cuts out, and it's doing awesome. So
Okay.
But let me ask you this: do you think if you hadn't have gone to Argentina, you would have been brought to TM, or do you think something you needed to go to Argentina to shift something?
You know, I honestly believe now that we don't really have as much free will as we like to think we do.
I would agree with that too. It's a different perspective, but I think we're being led to where we want to go.
Right. And so actually, the more I learned to let go and become unattached to expectations and these addictions that I have, the more free flowing my life has become, and the more things are just coming to me. And so I can now look back on that trip, because I was gone from November to the beginning of 2013. I went to Hawaii and hung out with some of my closest friends there and had some magical experiences.
I bet.
Went and visited my family over 2012, because I was big into 2012, like the Mayan calendar stuff. I was so obsessed with that. And I mean, again, talking about cycles, they viewed time in cycles.
Yeah. Well, everyone was freaking out when that calendar was ending, but it's just the beginning of another cycle.
Right. And even to that point is that calendar has come back in my life this year.
Has it? Big
time.
Well, see, and that's the other thing. Just to touch on this a moment, people do freak. I don't think we know as much now as they knew. Like, they were evolved beings in a way. We're almost. I mean, I think it's always getting better and better. We're always expansion consciousness, human experience. But you know how we went through the dark ages and the medieval times. I mean, that was a loss of knowledge.
Right.
And who knows whether we're going to do that again. And I think those things need to happen to peak back up.
Right.
But those Mayans and the people who built the pyramids, those people knew some stuff that we don't know.
Well, think about when you're not constantly distracted by all the bull crap, you know, Facebook and all social media, TV, Kardashians, all this bullshit.
You can go in.
Not only that, but you have time, and time slows down. And think if you have just nothing but time, think of what you can pay attention to, where you can sit and stare at the sky for days and even years and track things. They were amazing mathematicians. Their ability to track the stars was impeccable, because that's all they did. So they were obsessed about it and focused on it. And so think if you have thousands of years without distraction, and you start counting, you start paying attention to these cycles, and you think, man, it sure is weird, Mark, how on this day every year this thing happens. You're like, oh yeah, that is weird. Oh, let's track that. And so they start tracking these things. That's why I think like astrology is such a great tool, is because we've been counting these cycles for so long. We're saying, hey, that's why you have these very paramount days, December 25th. That's a paramount day. I don't think it has anything to do with religion.
Right.
It's just a day that we marked.
Existence, yeah.
Right. We mark these days as special days, not because of these events that have happened or have not happened, but because there's certain energy that happens on those days.
Yeah, they're like at pivotal points in like time, space.
Ley lines.
Yeah, ley
in
lines.
Time and space. And it's fascinating to me. And, you know, that I was obsessed with that calendar.
During 2012.
I started studying it in 2006.
Did you?
That's when I first started learning about it. I became obsessed with it. And I found this documentary online by I think he's an anthropologist, or at least he plays one on the internet, named Ian Lungold. And he found through his studies that what that calendar is a calendar of consciousness evolution.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. And so just this year, like I hadn't thought about that calendar since 2012.
Again, deeper meanings than what's on the surface.
And so this year, like it just felt, I mean, literally symbolically, New Year's Eve, my whole entire life shifted. And since then, like it was almost like, you know, ripping myself open and walking out of it a new person. Almost like a snake would shed its own skin, you know, or a phoenix would rise from the ashes, you know. And when you step out of an old paradigm and into a new paradigm, your whole reality shifts. My house shifted, my everything shifted, and also the relationships. I started attracting totally new relationships, and one of the very first relationships that I attracted, a great friend of mine, his name is Leslie. We went out to lunch after meeting each other, and I mean, it was just, we were connected.
After that shift.
Oh yeah, after that shift, it was January of this year. I met him in early January, and I mean, we went to lunch, and it was we were right on the same page, man.
Well, like you and I were back in 2012.
And I shared that Mayan calendar, and then that's when it all came right back to me. And so it's just been.
Do you think you were? I want to talk about two things. One, the 2012 and the TM. Then I want to jump ahead and talk about this latest shift. I want to know what brought you to TM. Do you think, again, you sounds like you were led there, like I was. What do you think you were? What was it that led you to TM? Was it totally seeking? Because I think for me, it solved a problem I was having in my human form, and I'm curious what.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate you asking me that. I think it found me.
Okay.
The greatest tools and teachers in my life have found me. I haven't found them. I like that. I can remember now sitting in my office back in 2013, and I came across a website or something that explained TM.
Did you call the 1-800 number at all?
Yeah,
and I call you back.
Penny called me back.
Yeah, I was amazed by the awesomeness of the customer service, because I think I called and I don't think I left a message, and they called back and said, "Hey, this is Joe at TM headquarters. What can we help you with?" So Penny called you, huh?
Yeah, I do remember leaving a message.
Do you?
Because I mean, when I find something and I go into it, I'm like, "Hey, you need to call me back. Hey, I'm ready. I'm a buyer. I got my credit card out, and I'm ready to buy something."
You're not a dabbler?
Yeah, no, I am a dabbler, but when I find what I want, I'm not waiting for it. So it found me, all psychedelics. I'm a big proponent of psychedelics. They found me. I didn't find them. I didn't ask for them. I mean, and I guess on a karmic level, I definitely believe I asked for them.
Yeah, like you said, we're being led to and I believe that now too, is that all of the universe is totally bumping us to where we want to go, and our only problem is resisting it, or not allowing it to happen. And and once you start seeing that more and more and let go more and more, that's when life starts to get just awesome.
So awesome. I mean, I love the children's. It's not a fairy tale. A nursery rhyme is row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. I love that. I try to live my life by that. I got my boat in the river. I got my hand back. It's a nice. I'm not even rowing.
Sunny. Yeah.
I'm not even rowing.
Yeah, you don't have to, right?
Yeah, no way. The people who know me best know I don't like to work. I like to enjoy life. I like to experience. I like the things that I want to come to me. Like if I go in your backyard and I plant an apple tree, I plant the seed. I don't have to yell at the seed. I don't have to yell at God and say, "Hey, man, where's my freaking tree at?" I just have to have faith. I have to know the law, and I have to just wait for it to grow, because that's one law, the law of gestation. You know, a baby takes 9 months.
It takes time. You have to come into the physical world.
Exactly. And so I just sit, and then once it brings me the fruit, then the action I have to take is I just go pick the fruit, and then I enjoy it. That's how life is.
Do you plant a lot of seeds?
All the time, man. I'm planting seeds every day, all day long, man.
And then just going out there and chilling in the garden.
Actually, now that you say that, especially this year, I've already planted the seeds.
Oh, you've planted them in the past, and they're coming. Crops are starting to come on.
Well, I'm so hyper focused on what I'm creating, the life I want to create, the vision that I have for my life, that the seed has been planted. So now I'm just fertilizing it. I'm tending to my crops every day.
Loving it.
Right. I write my goals out 3 times a day. I have them recorded on my phone. At 5 a.m., my alarm is me reading my goals to myself.
Awesome.
So literally in my dreams sometimes, I'm like, hey, what's that?
Yeah.
It's because
That is awesome.
your subconscious never sleeps. No. It's constantly open. And so I have it all over. Just like you've got your goal, your subconscious, even though you're looking at me, your subconscious is still taking it in.
Well, all of our surroundings, and I mean, we're absorbing words, and even words on this shirt.
Right.
And that's why, I mean, I think the thing of it is, once we know it's that easy that we have osmosis for everything, you start tuning up your environment and throwing this out and throwing that out and putting that there.
Right.
It's like it all counts. It all goes in the bucket.
Yeah, because nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work some shitty job.
No.
Nobody. It's inherent in every human.
We want to do what we came here to create and make the world like heaven on earth, a reflection of what we.
Right.
Yeah, let it out. Let it out. Dude, listen to this. I've got this on the fortune cookie the other day. Check this out.
Yeah.
If I bring forth what is inside me, what I bring forth will save me. I thought that was pertinent.
Yeah, man, because you already are everything.
Yeah. It's in us. And but like you said, the planting of the seed, I think we even planted in past lifetimes or past experiences.
Oh, I think 100%.
And so all it is now is just like waiting for that crop to,
Right. I think that the seed, the at the center of the seed is I am the creator. I am the creator.
Yeah.
And if I'm the creator, then I can create whatever I want. And if I can create whatever I want, then I'm going to treat people differently. I'm going to come from a place of love and generosity and a totally different frame than the victim. The victim is there's some outside force that has control. Therefore, I don't have any control. I believe I have 100% control.
You have to, you're right, because we are the creator. But you're right, victims get something. They get to wear that coat and get some, I guess, sympathy or maybe a little bit of money here and there. Comfort, but they lose out on so much more. I mean, I've been in victim mindset before, and it is, I'm thank God I just get out of there pretty quickly, because you're right, there's nothing for us there.
Right.
It's dead end.
Totally. Yeah, and so I think that's the game that we're playing, at least. So again, infinity. And so, if you look at that symbol, we might be right here, okay? And right here is just a certain level, okay? Right here is a totally different level of awareness. It's a totally different dimension. So right here, we're learning that I'm the creator. Once you learn I am the creator, I am God, okay, your whole reality changes. Your whole belief in what's possible changes. And then you're able to see that which you can't see as the victim. So you can't even see what's right here if you haven't passed right here.
Right.
So once you pass here, then you get to right here, and there's an ebb and flow. Now, we just talked about this. Maybe somewhere on this infinite journey, we forget it.
Okay.
We forget that we're the creator, and we go back into the victim, like the Kali Yuga.
I've heard. Yeah, well, that's part of the cycle. The new
right.
That's what, 25,000 years, 24,000 years.
Right.
Well, and to that point, I think that what happens is we like you said, we forget. We remember and then we forget, or else we practice. It's just like going to the gym. You go to the gym for a while, you start feeling good, or just like TM, you do TM for a while, start feeling good, and then you drop it off. And that's why it's like, or anything, in branding, they say, hey, sell the transformation. Don't sell anything else but the transformation. Then a couple of days go by and you're like, I think I'll try this angle or that angle. And it's like, I think of it like delusional. Like we're living in Maya. We forget, it's easy to go back to sleep. Like the Buddha, just go back to sleep. Good days, years go by and you wake up again.
Well, it's to that point is that, okay, now let's say that there's another level. Let's say like there's this level where we're just like infinite. We are one with the infinite. Well, again, this is my own personal story, my own personal experience. I have experienced what it feels like to be infinity, to be the entire universe. I have experienced that. And while it's really cool to be the universe, it's super boring. because there's no interaction.
Right, no physical, no.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's supposedly why some people believe why we came here, and I believe that too, to do both. Translate the thoughts to things, get our hands in the clay, record podcasts.
Right. But you know, that's right here. Putting our hands in the clay right here might be that I can form anything out of just, it's not. So in the Science of Getting Rich, it talks about man is at the level where he creates these images on the screen of his mind. Then he goes out into nature and he takes things from nature and he creates what's on the image in his mind. And that we have not evolved yet to the stage where we can create directly from source. But I believe that there is a level where we create directly from source. I do
too. Where it will be instantaneous.
Right.
I do believe.
Because we already are. I mean, look at the thing. We're just plastic. Doing it.
Yeah.
Where the hell did plastic come from?
Where the heck does anything come from?
Yeah.
It's all raw materials. This metal for this computer came out of the earth.
Right.
Or out of the ether, right? It all comes from nothing.
So I think that like what we were just talking about, all it is to teach us that we have the ability to create. And it's levels of creation. Like first we started with totally raw, organic rocks and wood, and then we created metal.
Crude,
right.
Like spears and stuff, and then refine.
Refine. Well, there's going to come a place in that refinement and in that evolution where we're just able to create instantaneously out of the ether. Because there have been people like Nikola Tesla that says like, contained in this space that I'm making with my hands that seems like there's nothing there is contained everything.
Right.
So it's already all there. We just have to get to the level where we believe it's all there, and then we can focus our intention and our desire in that empty space, and then boom, if I want a freaking puppy, a puppy just appears, you know? Right now, if I think about a puppy, I have to think about it and think about it.
And then someone brings, and someone goes, hey, knock on the door, hey, I got an extra puppy, do you want it? I mean, that's how it happens now.
Yeah, totally.
Only because our limited mind says puppies don't appear out of thin air. People bring you puppies because they have an extra one.
Right. I think because of how fast things are changing, like we're in such a special time to be alive that right now, I mean, we got people watching us on a phone, you know, all around the world. This will go out all around the world. Like we're in the most amazing time.
We really are.
And it's a time of evolution. We're like in this precipice of major evolution. And I think the major evolution is consciousness, where we are being rewired to believe, to have totally new beliefs. Because I don't know how aware you are of this, but there's so many old paradigms that are being questioned right now.
I think that's the history of human beings, right? Is that's all, I mean, starting with caveman time, but then the biggest one was, hey, the sun revolves around the earth, right?
Right.
The earth is flat.
Kill that guy. Let's kill that guy.
I think about this all the time. I'm glad you brought this up. What do we think we know now that isn't true? Because guarantee there are a bunch of stuff. Because I think that's human nature to be like, okay, we got it all figured out. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything's been figured out. No.
It never ends.
But sometimes I think people get in that mindset and it's like, that's not true.
Man, you know what? You just unlocked something for me when you said, what are we holding on to? How did you put it?
What do we know that isn't true?
Right. I think almost everything. So we're at a point where we need to totally reprogram ourselves that anything is possible.
Right. That's been a big shift in my own life, is the fact that when you decide, this notion of beliefs, like, what do we call it? Deconstructing belief, right? We all hold a belief like it's the, end all be all, but it's just a way we've chosen to look at the world, thoughts we put together. And once we just deconstruct everything, it opens everything up.
100%. And if you don't like the results you're getting in your life, then your beliefs, the belief.
Yeah.
You got to be
expectations and belief. This is assumptions.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to change that belief. If something in there's not freaking clicking.
Right.
You got to change that. And most people are they have a cognitive bias or cognitive dissonance where they will hold on to something, even people will die for tradition, even in favor of the truth.
Yeah.
So even if there was, there's no way what you believe is true. It's staring you right in the face. They'll still believe it.
Why do you think that is?
One, I think people hate to admit that they're wrong.
I agree.
Humans hate to admit that they're wrong.
Because then their whole life would have been a lie, right?
Right. Well, that's total ego.
Right.
The ego doesn't want to admit that it's wrong. And so I think that's probably the biggest. In fact, I think that's the only.
It's probably, ego is at the, not to throw ego under the bus, but it's at the root of a lot of problems we create for ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, we live in an ego reality.
Yep.
We all have an ego. I think it's being aware of what are the programs running your ego. And like you just said, how much of that is just BS. Mm-hmm. And again, if you don't like your results, then you've got to deconstruct it down to those beliefs, because those beliefs, just like a computer, a belief is just a program.
Yeah.
It's just a program that's running your biocomputer, which is your mind, and your mind is running your biomechanical robot, your body, and then your body goes out, takes actions in the reality, and it produces results. Mm-hmm. It's super simple if you break it down. But it's hard, again, if you're not open and willing to say, oh, I was wrong about that. I mean, how many people are playing like that victim thing? Like, man, people are wearing a badge. I'm a victim. I was raped.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is true.
And they're wearing that badge like a badge of honor. Whereas that
becomes part of their story, and then they just internalize it, whether it's that, or I was poor, or I was dumb, or I was this.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I am this. This happened to me. Yeah, it did. It happened to you because that was a karmic lesson. It was there to stimulate you to grow. And hopefully there's some point in your life where you can look back on it and you can grow from it, or it will just keep eating you and eating you and eating you, until one day you go to the doctor and they say, hey, you got cancer, hey, something, because that is just dis-ease in the body.
It's funny you mentioned that. One of the things that is really like I'm really aware of lately is this notion, just back to the story, whether you're talking about something that happened to you in your childhood that wasn't pleasant, or is happening now that isn't pleasant, or whatever, again, where we focus, but whatever you're talking, you're making it, you're activating again in the now. And so even if it did happen, it's almost like just forget about it, because whenever you pull your energy and your focus away from it, that seed's just going to wither and go into nothing.
Right.
But if you keep activating it every day, and this is something I try to be really conscious of, don't even talk about it, think about whatever anything happened. And then, because if it didn't happen now,
say thank you for it.
Yeah, say thank you.
Thank you.
And it's like rewriting that story and recleaning that disc, because whatever happened is, I view it as like, maybe a low level of awareness, or an unconscious moment, or whatever, or not really knowing we have the power, right, or other circumstances. But if you just let it go, like a cloud in the sky, and instead of attached to it, then it's it's almost like it never happened.
Yeah. You know what is that? I had that phone call, that meeting this morning. And that meeting stemmed from a conversation yesterday. And I think the main lesson, this is just my intuition talking, is that the main lesson for a victim is to forgive.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think that right now, for so many people, a big lesson in their spiritual evolution, in their consciousness evolution, is to forgive. And so I think that, because I believe in karma, I believe in reincarnation, just from my own experiences. Yeah. And I think that the purpose of life in this infinite game is just constant evolution. Constant evolution. What we really are is consciousness, energy. We are God experiencing itself through this first-person reality with countless, infinite numbers of perspectives that have happened throughout the history of the universe.
Right.
And so each of us, when we die, we can almost like, okay, check that off. I learned that. Okay, cool. I got to hop back in the game.
Right.
Okay. And when you hop back in the game, then you come with I'm at level. Let's put it.
I'm coming in here.
Right. Boom. And then here, I'm just restarting where I left off with these lessons. And those lessons you need to learn come with experiences that you have to experience in order to learn them. And I think right now a big lesson for people is forgiveness, to forgive each other, because even a part of forgiveness is not judging. Because man, I see like really like a macro view is I see we are evolving out of an old age and into a new age, out of an old age of scarcity and into a new age of abundance. And that old age of scarcity, it is right at the end of its cycle, and at the end of its life, it does not want to die.
It's going to fight. Yeah.
Right. And it's fighting. I mean, dude, man, you got everybody. There's so much division. Everybody's against everybody.
Spheres are moving farther apart, and then eventually one's either going to have to rubber band to the prosperity side, or else
I don't think there's a choice.
There's not a choice, because things always get better and better and better.
Right.
It's just, will we allow them to get better and better? You know.
Well, I mean, I think
because like you said, we're creators. We can create the shitty situations too. And if we stop doing that, you know, this notion of like stop doing things that are hurting you, and your body naturally heals. You naturally feel better. You know, when we stop putting garbage in, thoughts, food, whatever, the body tunes up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think those people that they're resisting.
Resistance is huge. That's another factor that TM
because they're
helps.
not resisting the lessons in their life. So they're resisting it. So they're looking for something to resist against. So it's like, hey, the Republicans don't like the Democrats don't like the Republicans. Just all this, it's a soap opera. It's drama for all those low vibrational people, because none of that affects you.
It doesn't. That's why I gave up on politics. I still care for my country and want to, you know, the country to be successful.
My country's the planet.
Right. You're right.
Because I'll leave if this place keeps turning. Because I actually see a lot of high level people are leaving.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about
the United States leaving.
Oh yeah, a lot of people are going to Puerto Rico, which is I'm being drawn to. A lot of people are going to Mexico. So it's all vibration. And we were talking earlier about I don't think we have as much free will as we think we have. Is that if you can let go, then you'll be attracted. So if like things get crazy in America, I personally believe that my faith is I'm living my life in the right way, in a certain way, that I'll be inspired to leave before, like, let's say the meteor hits Boise.
You'll just step to the side and be like, boom.
Right.
If you're tuned in.
Right. Because we're all tuned in. The only way to not be tuned in is to be dead.
Good point.
And so, but some people are tuned into just a shitty radio station.
Or they're just
disruptive.
The power's unplugged or whatever. They're not. And I've been there when you're not receiving the signal, or you don't want to receive the signal,
right?
Whatever reason. As soon as you start waking up that you can receive the signal, there is help and guidance there. Because we were talking about intuition before this episode too. It was 2 or 3 years ago when I made it my goal to develop more intuition, because this is something we're not taught.
Right. Right.
Just use your intellect, right? That only gets you so far, which is about a nanometer in the grand scheme of things.
Right. Yeah. Man, now we just got on a whole new topic with that intuition, because that's a part of a new dimension that we're evolved. That's part of the new cycle.
The 5D,
we're going. Right. I don't know what D.
Whatever D.
Yeah. It's a new dimension for sure. And that is like the inner world. And your inner world is where your intuition lies. It's where your imagination lies. These higher senses, because in this reality, from the time we're born to the time we die, for the average ordinary person, they are taught to live through their senses.
Right.
That we don't go inside.
Nothing for you there.
Right. But we all have intuitive moments where like our intuition's like kicking us in the face. Hey, you should do this. You don't listen to it. Then you get your ass kicked, you know. It's happening, but we're, like you said, we're not taught.
No.
And so I've been on
most of us.
Right. Most of us. That was lead me to this, is that, I've been on this journey since 2005, and I cannot tell you how much I've seen things change.
All right.
All right, let's
Rock
do
and
it.
roll, part 2.
Part 2.
Gary G.
Part 2/part 1 again.
You know it. What you been up to since we chatted last time?
I mean, I feel like my world it's going and transforming so fast that it feels like so much has changed since we last talked. I just got back from California.
I saw that.
That was incredible. It was incredible in the sense that I was able to go through this program, the PSI Basic, from a different perspective. You know, from a voluntary perspective, and
so you've been through it before as a student,
right? And this time I was volunteering.
What made you do that? What just give back? What's the why volunteer? I mean, what's the
it's repetition.
Okay, so you get exposure to it again,
100%.
But when you're volunteering, I'm assuming you're helping facilitate some of these things. So,
yeah.
you get to teach and learn.
I was running what's called a small group. So how the content works is we go through a lesson and then we break up into these small groups and you actually implement things that you've learned. We have assignments that we do in our small groups and so on and so forth. So I actually facilitated a small group.
That's probably like learning 2.0 because when you teach, you learn, right?
100%.
Dude, that's
100%.
Awesome. How were you able to do that? Did you reach out and say, "Hey, I want to be a volunteer"? Or
it happened naturally and spontaneously.
You planted the seed, of course.
Yeah, I mean, in my business, I was just reaching out to people that I knew to kind of share with them what my business is, and I reached out to one of my fellow MLS brothers and just kind of shared, hey, and caught up, and he's like, hey, I'm facilitating a basic here in Newport Beach, and I just said, oh, I'm there.
Nice. So it's kind of happened very quickly. It wasn't something you planned for 6 months or a year.
No, I'm the worst planner ever. I don't plan anything.
The best things happen, those spontaneous kind of things.
Right.
Where a lot of the behind the scenes work has been done, and it's just, okay, here I show up.
Yeah. I'm the worst. I'm the guy that shows up to the airport and says, hey, I'm trying to go to California. What do you got?
But yet things work out for you.
Every time.
Yeah, I know. I've traveled with you. So we're down there for what? A long weekend, multiple day. I mean, a week. What was?
Wednesday to Monday.
Okay.
So I went there for 2 days. I went there early 2 days, and I just hung out at the beach. And then I saw another friend that I met through PSI as well. We spent the day together, went and had lunch, went and just talked and caught up, and just had a phenomenal time.
Just hung out at the beach, hanging out in California. Yeah, because we talked about this prior, but share what PSI is, because I'd never heard of it. But you said this is the roots of some of the people that listeners will know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, PSI is the oldest personal development organization, I believe, in the world, but I know for sure in North America. It was founded by a man named Tom Wilhite. And it's just really good information. I mean, this is the only personal development organization that Bob Proctor promotes. This is where Jack Canfield came from, Deepak Chopra. I mean, a lot of big names have come out of this work.
Wow.
And again, even that, it came to me very naturally and spontaneously. One of my best friends here locally, I don't know where I was at in 2017 in June, but he just reached out and said, hey, we're putting on a basic. It's the first ever basic in Boise. And I said, oh, don't say another word. I'll be there for sure.
Sure.
I went to the basic, and I immediately signed up for the advanced courses, because there's three. Next. There's a basic, there's size 7, and there's MLS. And I signed up on the spot.
Because you were so sold on it. You found huge value.
Not only did I see huge value, but I mean, there were some very miraculous things that happened at that basic. Not only at the basic, but in each, even when I went to the ranch, just very confirming things like, hey, you're supposed to be here.
Like synchronicity
things?
Okay.
100%. And so yeah, I mean, it all just unfolded.
Wow. PSI. Does that stand for something, or is
Personal Success Institute?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, dude, I love it.
Yeah. In fact, there's a great, the kind of foundational book is called Living Synergistically.
Wow.
It's a little pamphlet. It's along the lines of your book.
Oh, it's super thin.
Yeah, but very powerful. In fact, I'll get you a copy.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah.
I would actually love that. Rank that book, if you could compare it and contrast it to like The Science of Getting Rich and some other books. I mean, where value-wise and or content-wise, how do you...
I would say it's in the top 10. I mean, The Science of Getting Rich is on it.
That's like your favorite book.
Oh, it's on a league of its own.
It really is.
It's something that I don't compare anything to it.
Okay, so that's its own category.
100%.
So this,
but
book
it's in
is
the top 10. And actually, there's a book that goes along with Psy that's a phenomenal book too.
Like a complimentary book that they put out.
Yes.
They produce?
Yep. That Tom Wilhite himself wrote, and he passed away, I believe, in the 80s.
Okay.
Plane crash.
Oh, really?
So they have a huge ranch in Northern California. I mean, it is a magical place.
Seriously.
In fact, during the wildfires of last year, it burned everywhere around.
You're kidding.
The ranch.
Really? So it's like this pristine oasis in the midst of destruction.
Yep.
Wow.
And so Tom acquired it from another man. I can't remember his first name, last name. Can't remember the last name either.
He acquired that
property.
Facility from.
And then he, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Patrick is Penpatrick. Okay. William Penpatrick, I do believe. And they acquired it from the Native Americans around.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, it's
like ancient, maybe even like you said, it's got some spiritual stuff going on in there.
Well, I know it does.
If the stuff burned.
Well, not only that, but the energy. I mean, they hold a size 7 every month, and I think that they probably hold an LS probably once a quarter or so. So I mean, you got a lot of energy that's congregating. I personally believe that places on the planet attract people.
I agree too.
So it's attracting people there. Mm-hmm. Just like I've heard, I don't know if you've heard about Boise under Warm Springs. There's like crystals.
The geo stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's energy. It's vibrating. Mm-hmm. So we're just unconscious. So then the French, when they settled here, I mean, they just...
But someone who was tuned in knew this was they know where the special places are.
Well, they might not have been that in tune, but then when they got here, there's like, oh, there's water. See, on a surface level, they think, oh yeah, here's the place.
Right.
Because it holds all the resources that we're looking for to settle.
Right.
But on a deeper level... Yeah, their antenna was saying, "Oh, here's a special spot,"
right? Because
that part that tunes in is infinite,
right?
And it's part of a collective whole which transcends time and space. So it's looking, maybe 1,000 years into the future and saying, "Oh, guess what? This is where we need to settle because we're going to build some just wild shit in what's now Boise, Idaho."
It's kind of like the stuff that goes down in the Middle East, right? I mean, there are some like ancient holy stuff going on.
Iraq.
That's why it's been a battleground for so many thousands of years, right?
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's all energy,
Yeah.
And we see the pyramids of Giza were built on ley lines. Mm-hmm. The pyramids in the ancient Mayan civilization, ley lines. Yeah. I mean, it's almost...
It's not accident.
Yeah, no way. We were just tuning in. And I think that everything comes full circle where I think that humanity is evolving back to where we were. Everything goes in cycles, so we lose the knowledge and then we just find the knowledge again. And then I think it's called the Kali Yuga. These huge cycles of time where humanity forgets things and then we remember things, ebbs and flows. I think we talked about this on the other one is I think the next stage, we're leaving. Yeah. We're leaving this place. In fact, today, very not ominous, but
Fortuitous?
Yeah, that's that they took the first picture of a black hole today. Or it wasn't taken today, but it was, it's all over the social media.
Oh, really? I have to go check that out.
So it's a very, what's the word?
Momentous occasion? Historical?
It's more like with astrology or whatever. It's not ominous, but gosh dang it. I have a friend.
Yeah, I mean, but so they took that picture, huh? That's incredible.
Yeah. And it further proves like Einstein's theories and things like that.
Black holes are a trip.
Oh yeah, have you seen that movie Interstellar?
I have, yes.
That's one of my favorite movies.
I know it is.
Yeah.
That movie tripped me out.
Oh yeah, take a couple hits of acid and watch that movie, dude.
Well, you've seen it multiple times, right?
Oh yeah,
because you were
on acid.
When it was at the theater, you're like, I'm going back again and again.
Oh
and again.
yeah, it's such a deep movie.
I need to see it again. Yeah, it's one of those movies that folds in on itself, and you got to pay attention to what's like going down.
Right, because if you can see it from the deeper level, then I mean, for me at least, I understood myself at a deeper level, and how we're already doing those things. We're already interstellar beings,
and people have told us that there's no time. It's all happening now. There's no time. It's our own construct. Right. Now is past and present and all being right there.
Right. Yeah, you just bring up a good point, is that I think that part of this evolutionary shift that we're going through, a part of that learning is to transcend the concept of time.
I would agree. Because it's kind of a crappy game to play, really, because we get stuck in the past or we get stuck in the future. So we need to, I think, transcend it in order to go where we're going. Right. Or be who we're going to be, whatever you want to call it.
In order to open up our hearts and to live from our intuition, we have to be in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, but like we've talked about that before, that all of the stimuli that are coming in now is, I think we've kind of maybe designed it subconsciously to blow the circuit, so that we'll have to bring online our the part of us that can hold it.
Dude, yes, 100%.
Because people are freaking burning out. And there's just so much coming at. I mean, I kind of joke around sometimes saying that there's nothing really going on the internet when there is so much going on out there. But eventually it's going to you can't take in that kind of information, or this part of us can't.
Right.
This part of us.
Right.
Ding, ding, ding,
it's infinite.
It's infinite. It can handle it. But it will. I think it's kind of like the pre-designed.
Well, I mean, I see you have a quote from Abraham. He talks, I shouldn't say he, it talks about the solution is contained in the challenge.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. We created this so that we could find the solution in it. It's an infinite game. It's a game with no end. And that's, to me, what's so exciting, is that, because we talked about this on the first one too, is that I believe in immortality, 100%. Mm-hmm. And more, like, it's being confirmed and like it's being hardwired.
Yeah. Well, even Abraham says it's a choice that we die.
Right. I mean, yeah, think about old people.
Right.
One, they have a belief at a cellular level
that gets perpetuated on and
on. And then, especially in Western culture, is that when people get old, we throw them in a home.
We do.
Throw them in a home. Nobody visits them anymore.
People like them. And this whole thing, when you're around, you're around young people. A few weeks ago, I met a lady. She's like 80-something. She looks like she's 40 or 50. But she's a spry. She's out around doing things, and she's still interested in all sorts of things. She's really an inspiration. Yeah. Because, I mean, at that age, some people have they're done. They're ready to. They're waiting to check out.
Right. And I'm done with the game.
Right. But it's totally about what environment you're in, what you're thinking, how passionate you are still about life. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to like we were just saying, to transcend time would also mean you're going to transcend these other theories that are concrete in this reality, like gravity.
You're going to forge forging new ground and going into new places that people haven't gone before, doing things they haven't done. Right.
So I just went to lunch with a guy a couple weeks ago who is an LDS guy, but very open-minded, very. And we got into this conversation. I was telling, I believe I'm God, you're God, everybody's God. You create your own reality. And he was like, even now he's like texting me saying, dude, you're like,
do you think you opened some
without a doubt. That's my job, is to unplug people from the matrix.
Yeah.
But in that conversation we were talking, everything is a theory. There's no such thing as truth.
Right. What is true?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the truth is whatever you deem it to be. Because your reality is just constructed out of your truths.
Right.
But if you can be fluid in your beliefs and have to me, like, the underlying belief that rules my life is anything is possible.
Right.
Anything. Immortality is possible. Teleportation's possible. Anything. Like, I'm waiting for that stuff, to happen. But we were talking about those things and how everything is just a theory. So someone has studied this thing called gravity. Isaac Newton. I mean, he was the first kind of physicist, and all he did was wrote a sales paper.
Oh, really? He sold
the idea. Mm-hmm. It's all ideas.
It is all ideas.
Copernicus sold an idea that the Earth rotates around the sun, not vice versa. They're just salespeople.
Right.
And then when you get enough people agreeing to it, then that becomes the truth.
Totally. Well,
until it's not.
It's so true, Gary. I think about that all the time. Like, how many times in history have humans been wrong? But yet, in our day and age, or whatever slice you want to look at in human evolution or existence, it's like, well, we figured it all out.
Right.
Well, have we?
Yeah. But whenever you think you figure it all out, the universe or whatever shakes you up to say, "Oh, just joking."
It's exactly, because I mean, if we've continually messed up big, I mean, that, like, the Earth is flat, that's a pretty big mess up.
Right.
The Earth the sun revolves around the Earth. That's a pretty big mess up.
Is it a mess up, or is it just a level of that's the level of consciousness? I think it's
a level of consciousness and a level of understanding,
right,
and awareness and knowing and studying, because what's left, right? I mean, we do the best we can with what we've got.
Right. Well, you can only see as far as you can see until you get to where you can see further.
The perspective.
Right. And so that's going back to what
haven't they discovered even littler planets outside of Pluto? I mean,
they just discovered a whole new galaxy sitting right next to the Milky Way. It's like, how the hell did you miss that?
Yeah.
So, but that's in quantum physics, is the observer always finds what they're looking for. You're
true.
Always going to find it. So the better salesman is the one that wrote the more convincing paper. Which is
kind of scary when you think about it, right?
Well, that's why I don't believe in anything.
You can't. You got to do put your own experience into play and say, okay, look, or just like withhold judgment, like saying, you know what? When it comes time to know, I'll know, right? For now, it's good. Or just kind of go along, like, okay, what I know now, put it into play. What I know now,
right?
And it's never done.
Right, never done ever.
It's fascinating.
There's an infinite number of levels, and so we're climbing up to a whole new level. I mean, right now it's 2019. We're surrounded by this awesome stuff. We're making videos on freaking supercomputers. But if you would have went back 300 years, your ass would have got hung.
Yeah.
For saying, hey, we're going to record voices. They're like, this is a witch.
Yeah, you're done.
Let's hang this person.
You are out.
Right.
Even though there were people hanging out that are kind of like, I think that's cool, or I want to know something like that. But you couldn't pipe up.
Right. Well, yeah, you couldn't, because we had not evolved past that level where people's minds were open. I think I shared this on our last talk, is the Ian Lungold documentary about the Mayan calendar.
Refresh our memories eyes.
Yeah, so he was talking about the Mayan calendar is a calendar of consciousness evolution. And so everything happens more perfectly than our finite minds can understand. And for me, the story, because he talks a little bit about this, but to paraphrase, is the story, the allegory of Jesus was a time in the consciousness of humanity where it taught ethics.
Where people needed to learn ethics.
Right.
And he was there to teach the ethics.
Well,
I think it?
It's just a story.
Sure, but based on the story, that was he was the teacher.
Right. I mean, look at treat your neighbor good, be honest, those are morals and ethics.
Yeah.
So before Jesus came around, we were even more barbarian-like.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, there was the raping and pillaging and just all sorts of craziness coming along until a new consciousness came about. And I think because there's so many similar stories all around the planet around that same time, that was the information that was being spread through the universe was morals and ethics.
So he kind of tuned people up.
Right. Right. It's all unconscious. Even now, like, we're being tuned up, like you said, is that there's an underlying pressure that I think a lot of people feel.
I do too.
Like, hey, the way things are going, it's not working. And what's happening is they're looking for an outlet to blame.
Yeah, because no one, we're programmed to look outward. Whose problem is it? Is it the government's fault? Is it my employer's fault? Is it my neighbor's fault?
Right.
So what's your thoughts?
Well, I think in order to evolve to that next level of consciousness, you have to take total radical responsibility. That's another thing I was talking to my buddy at lunch about was when you believe that you are God, then you take absolute responsibility for everything that happens in your life. So whenever anything happens to me, the first question I ask is, why did I create this?
Yeah.
Why did I create this? Like, what is the underlying higher level lesson that I obviously need to learn that I would create this experience?
Yeah.
So like, I never get sick. Never get sick. I never have accidents. Like, those things never happen
because it's
to me.
not in your consciousness.
Right.
It's not in your. You've already purged that from your.
Right. I'm not a victim. I am the creator of my reality. I'm the creator. So I take full responsibility for every little thing that happens in my life. And so when you come from that place, it's just a higher level of awareness. So I asked him the same question, like, hey, if you really believe that you are God and you were on this mission to more realize that you are God, how would you treat people differently than you're treating them right now? How would you treat them?
How would you treat them?
If they're also gods in training, like, how are you going to treat them? Are you going to be more forgiving? Are you going to be more compassionate? Are you going to be less judging? All of these things that are, and when you don't learn those lessons, that's when you have the accidents. That's when you get sick. All those things, because at a deeper, more spiritual level, your spirit's like, hey, like we were talking about, hey, I want to move at the speed of light. Let's go. And you got this resistance.
Holding you back.
Right. Oh my gosh, I'm mad. I'm mad at my brother for something he did when we were kids. And I'm still pissed off.
That shit around.
Yeah, right? For freaking decades, you know?
When I'm really tuned in and really fully present, I think to myself, if I say I can't or I don't have it in me to do this, that's like a smite against God or source.
Right.
And when you think of it that way, you're like, oh, right. You know, that's like small little mind, little ego mind, making a stupid statement that when you look at the grand scheme of things, oh, you're saying source or infinite intelligence can't do it. And
right.
It humbles me really big.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, because the infinite working through you.
Yeah, it has no, like you said, no limitations, it doesn't know any bounds, only restricted by what we filter, we filter it through.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I mean, because I'm certainly not perfect. I'm still God in training too.
I don't know if there are anyone human beings that are. I mean, otherwise maybe I don't know, because this is the playground, right, where we evolve and grow and learn.
Yeah. Perfection's an illusion.
It is an illusion, and if it's never going to be if the evolution of human beings or consciousness never ends, then maybe no one is ever perfect. It's just this progression.
Yeah.
Right, where there's you can never win the game, no highest level.
Right. Yeah. No highest level. None. That's why, again, like, I took so much out of going to the PSI Basic, is that I was able to view the lessons from a different perspective. and I was able to see others going through and having their programs triggered and say, oh, I do that.
That's probably hugely valuable on your own growth.
Man, I do that. So if I can, because like you were just saying, is that let's say you have a deep burning desire to be wealthy. Okay, that's not your desire. That's the desire of the infinite wanting to work. Exactly. Yeah. But then all the bullshit, okay, those are your programs. They're programmed just
I'm
like
not
a
good enough.
Right.
It's not for me. I can't do it.
Right. All of that. It's all programs that you picked up from actually 47 days after your dad went inside your mom.
Is that when kids can start picking up subtle vibrations?
47 days is when the Buddhists say that the spirit enters the body.
Is that so? Okay.
Yeah. So 47 days after the egg is fertilized, that is when a massive dose of DMT is released in the pineal gland.
Before, yeah.
And so not only is 47 days massive release, but also at the moment of death, a massive release of DMT.
I've heard about that too.
So the Buddhists
the body's done.
Right. Out of here. Yeah. And
That's
so 47 days, 7 times 7, everything's math. And so as soon as that happens, you're taking in data. You're taking in data, creating
Building
programs. Right.
Boom, 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 boom.
In fact, even when from the moment that egg is fertilized, you go through the entire evolution of the universe. From a single cell organism to a multi-cell organism. If you look it up, you're a dinosaur. You're a reptile. That's when your reptilian brain is being formed, developed, exactly. You become a little monkey. The tail. Yeah, you actually evolve because the human is the highest form of creation that we've found in the universe thus far.
I've heard that.
So contained in you is everything in the entire universe contained in this little body.
Right.
And we're going around saying, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not valuable.
The existential statement of a lifetime. That you summed it up, Gary. I mean, putting it in that perspective is like, what the hell is holding anyone back?
Programs. And the most destructive programs that everybody has is I'm not good enough. I'm not valuable. I'm not lovable. And those are all the greatest way to solve those is to program them from yourself, because we got the opposite from our outside world. I'm not good enough. We were just talking about this at Basic is as an adult, when we see a mom turn her back to her child, we don't take that as traumatic. But a baby sees it as traumatic, even if the baby doesn't understand the context of the mannerism. The mom the baby's crying. Maybe I'm hungry. The only way the baby knows how to communicate is through crying or cooing. And so mom maybe turns the back. Baby is picking up on vibration. And then boom, there's just a micro trauma. I'm not good enough. Mom doesn't love me. Why did mom just show me that body language? Body language is 95% of communication is subcommunication. So, hey, mom, what the hell's going on?
I must be bad. I'm a bad. Internal. Boom.
I have a child, and there's sometimes he pisses me off, and sometimes I snap. But the quicker I can say, and I personally think I'm actually maybe too much love. I love
because
that.
You know how important it is.
Right. I want him to feel an overwhelming sense of I am good enough. I am valuable. I am loved, not only from me and his mom, but from himself.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the key. What I think is to teach them that internal, that no matter what's going on around you, because eventually they're going to be with someone who isn't you, a teacher or a employer or whatever, and they're going to give them some non-love because they might be in a place of non-love, right?
Right.
So you're good.
They're just projecting.
Him, so it's an internal, game. Ultimately.
Absolutely. So my job, and this goes for myself because I learned so much from being a parent, is that building the shield, guilt shield, Projection shield. Oh, you're just projecting your shit onto me. Nah, I'm perfect, whole, and complete the way that I am.
Right.
I totally love myself. Yeah. And so I think that the more that people can reprogram themselves by loving and praising and appreciating themselves, it just washes the old programming away so much faster than anything else out there. Louise Hay talks about it in her book, which is I've given that book out more than any other book. You Can Heal Your Life. Talking about mirror work.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at yourself. I mean, I gave the assignment to my small group to do mirror work, and they were all like, that was the hardest thing. Yeah. They're like, oh shit. One lady says she never looks in her own eyes.
Yeah.
So when she's getting ready in the morning, she's unconsciously probably criticizing herself.
Because there's some uncomfortableness there.
It's so uncomfortable. I remember when I first started doing it, like the programs would come up. Oh, I love you, Gary. Bullshit. Oh, no way. Like, oh, no, you're ugly. The programs would come out.
Right. It's just, it reminds me of that scene in Good Will Hunting when he's like, I love you. I love you. And he's trying to, Matt Damon's trying to deflect it, and he's continuing.
Right.
Boom, boom, boom,
right.
and eventually breaks down.
Right.
And I think that kind of happened to me in mirror work. And eventually, because you got surface core.
Right.
And then you have nowhere else to. You
got nowhere to hide.
Accept it,
Yeah, it's interesting the walls we put up against ourselves.
Yeah. That's the biggest problem is, I think they're walls for everything, but they keep us from loving ourselves. It's keeping others out, right? Keeping us safe, but it keeps us safe from our own relationship with ourselves, which is the hugest problem.
Totally. Yeah, because you've bought in all the other bullshit.
Right.
I remember I have a memory in junior high. I did a fashion show where I had to walk on a catwalk in front of a bunch of people,
Wow.
And I remember these girls pointing and laughing at me.
Oh,
and at the
really?
moment I internalized that.
Yeah.
Whereas now I can look at it and say, oh no, they were just projecting.
Right.
Because I can go back in my mind right now and see that younger version of me and say, oh no, dude, you're the best.
Yeah.
Just like I love my son, I can give that same love because your imagination transcends time and space.
Right.
So you can go to any micro trauma in your life and you can view it from a different perspective and say, in that situation, it had nothing to do with you.
Right.
They were projecting their own insecurities onto you. And guess what? In that moment, you bought that shit.
Right.
But it's not true.
Well, because you were in a different place too, and it may be more vulnerable, more,
Absolutely.
Yeah, you didn't have the tools. I always think about this, when you're so big, and this idea is kind of pervasive in personal development, when you become such a big person that nothing anyone launches at you, it's like a little freaking ping ting. You're like a giant,
right?
Like Tony Robbins style. You're like awaken the giant within. No insult. Even if someone gets pissed off at you, you're like, I'm really sorry that happened to you, but you're you're not going to get to me because I'm a freaking giant, right? And it actually helps tune people up too, because they're like, I launched my full arsenal at this person,
right?
And they're so confident and so big that it did not affect them.
Yeah. Then they turn. There's how do I learn that?
Right, because everyone wants that.
Right.
Because the smallest little things can break people, and when you're not in the right mindset, it can happen. But when you just keep tuning yourself up, it's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Because I think naturally everybody is, and this is a great belief that I have. I'm just praising myself thinking about it, is I think that everybody at their core is very loving and caring person. Everybody.
Wow.
There's not a human that's born that isn't loving and they're God.
I like that.
They're God.
Yeah.
But we, through our experiences and through, I think, karma, is that we have these experiences that build up these programs. We create the program so that we can learn how to release the program.
Yeah.
If you, no matter what, you don't have a choice. Because I personally believe in reincarnation on the way to immortality. So, hey, the lessons you don't learn now, you get out of your skin suit, you're going to come right back.
Right. And if you resist the lesson, it just gets stronger. It keeps coming up and up and up. And finally you're like, okay, I want to learn the lesson, Right. Eventually you got to sit down and take that lesson.
Right.
Or it's just going to keep coming.
Right.
Doesn't go away unless you process it and release it.
Yeah, it does not go away. It's infinite.
When we were talking about TM, and that's how we kind of met through that channel. there had been something happen in my life 3 times, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm tapping out, and then that's when I was brought to TM, and I feel it was like a divine thing. Okay. And then the course of meditation, going to the field of boundlessness, and it cleanses and purifies you. Because I'm a big fan of like, hey, I want the solution that's going to do it all. Like you said, the self-love. I think self-love tunes up all sorts of stuff, relationships, money, all the stuff. But if I'm a big fan of like the one solution that's going to do it all, and meditation is that's one of those solutions.
Oh, I agree.
If not the solution.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think another big solution is psychedelics.
No, but you know what? I've heard that, and it is on my list.
Yeah.
You've experienced profound benefits from that.
Oh, I don't even want to count how many times. Every time.
Okay, let me ask you this. Compared to some of your other practices, the mirror work, the love, the meditation, how does psychedelics compare with those?
It's like the science of getting rich. It's in a league of its own.
It's in a league of its own. Really?
Oh my God.
Okay.
It's hands down the most
I've heard that
powerful thing that's ever come in my life.
Do you and you tell me what your experience is. Do you think it's because it helps you or facilitates you getting to another state of consciousness that you couldn't get to your own? Why is it helpful? What does it do?
It's buying a ticket. It's buying a ticket to another world that we go to every night, but we're not aware of. And in that world, so just talking about this, I have a different awareness of it, is that the purpose behind dreaming is for your subconscious to solve problems and to let go of energy, to clean your karma. So the purpose of a dream, when you're having a dream, it's your subconscious, your infinite self. I shouldn't even say your subconscious, your infinite being, your God self is going through experiences so that you can let go of energy that you're holding on to. But like we just said, we're taking on so much data, we're having just so many experiences that we can't get rid of it all. So we're holding on to it. Where with psychedelics is you're going on a trip, and in that trip the purpose of the trip is to die. It's a temporary death of the ego body. You're going to dissolve this first person simulation, and you're going to go to another realm, and in that realm you have an opportunity to clean your karma. To go through all of the past experiences that you've had in this lifetime and other lifetimes, and to clean it, to look at it from a different perspective, and to let it go.
So those drugs facilitate the letting go.
100%.
Wow.
You always have a choice. You can resist.
Can you?
The lesson. Oh, for sure.
So you can come back with the same stuff you...
Oh, the worst... Timothy Leary said the worst thing that happens is you come back exactly the same person.
Wow.
That's the worst thing that can happen. No one's ever overdosed, ever.
Because it's a natural substance,
Yeah,
right?
The most powerful psychedelic is released in your brain every night when you're in REM sleep.
What is it, the dopamine?
DMT, dimethyltryptamine. So that's 47 days after conception, DMT, your pineal gland, which is a gland.
Burst.
Right. And then at the moment of death, another one. So soul coming in, soul leaving. But then every night when if I shouldn't say when, because there's a lot of, I sleep like an angel. I sleep like an angel every night.
Sleep.
Deep dreams, all that. There's a lot of people that don't.
No, they don't get to the deep level.
Right.
That sleep is a weird thing. So what, you have to this trip is like getting to that deep level.
You're consciously aware that you're in another dimension.
Wow.
But
like sleeping, but not like a lucid dream kind of a thing?
Yes, you are aware that you are in another.
Wow.
From my perspective.
Sure, your own experience.
So, like, my story is in 2005, I was just at a low in my life. I grew up in Salt Lake, very Mormon culture, very black and white culture. Do this, you're going to heaven. Do this, you're going to hell. It never resonated with me. I would get into these relationships in my 20s with women, and to try to please them. Like I was going to church. I actually went through the Mormon temple.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah. I used to wear the garments and stuff.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I went through it, I studied it, and I was just like, dude, there's just, like, this is not resonating with me.
Didn't jive.
Right. So I didn't feel, when I was 24, I didn't feel like I had a sense of spiritual purpose at all. I was a semi-truck mechanic, and while I made good money, like I was like, oh, dude, this is what I got to do for the rest of my life. Like I was surrounded by the reflections of me. Mm-hmm. Like one of our business partners that owns the alignment shop with us, he is the most angry guy I've ever met to this day, but he was a reflection of me. 100%.
Yeah.
And so my reality was a reflection of what was going on inside me. Turmoil, hatred for myself, toxic relationships with the opposite sex, and just a really lack of self-worth and self-esteem, because no one had ever taught me that type of stuff.
Because you didn't know about the inner and the outer yet.
Right, at all. And so it's end of summer 2005, and I owned a house, but I had a bunch of people that lived with me. And so one of my best friends that I'd known since junior high approached me one night and said, hey, I want to let you know I've been smoking weed at your house. And I was like, oh, all right, yeah. Well, I appreciate you telling me, no big deal. I go on with my life. And then a couple weeks later, I end up breaking up with the girl that I was dating. I'd been dating her for like 3 years, just a shitty relationship. Mm-hmm. And I went to him, I said, hey, I want to smoke weed with you. And I'm 24 years old. I'd smoked weed one time in junior high, didn't do anything. So we go in my garage and I smoked cannabis for the first time. And in that moment, I had a quantum leap in my consciousness. Wow. Like I literally saw my reality shift around me. It was as if someone turned on a light switch. Wow. And my whole, I can see it right now in my mind's eye. The shift that happened, like it was like, what the hell was that? And it made me question everything I'd ever been taught. Everything, especially when it came to religion and like Jesus and God and all that stuff. I questioned everything. And so I started smoking weed. I was going to work. Everybody instantly saw like this change in me.
A positive change?
Positive change. Mm-hmm. And so I'm smoking weed. And then I come home from work one day, and magically the book Think and Grow Rich is sitting on my kitchen table.
What?
Yeah. I'm a high school dropout. I'd never read a book until Think and Grow Rich. Never. Like I'd read like Goosebumps or something, mm-hmm. but I didn't even read that. I never read. I never went to school. I never did what anybody told me what to do. And so I read that book. And when I read that book, I was like, oh, this is what I've been looking for. This makes sense. This resonates with me. And then I got an iPod and I got the book on audio, and I would go to work and I would just listen to it all day.
Wow.
All day, every day. I bet in a span of 3 months, I listened to that book 25 times.
Really?
Because I would just listen 8 hours a day.
Absorbing. You were just in that.
I would have one earbud in, like if I was talking to my dad or talking to other people at the shop. But if I was on a project on my own, I had both earbuds in. I was just listening. My work was unconscious. I could do that. I could work on cars with my eyes closed. Yeah. But I was learning. My brain was just being, I was downloading information from the cosmos. And so then around Halloween of 2005, I'm driving my same best friend, Robert, to go see his girlfriend. I still remember that hatchback Honda Civic. I'm driving him there, and he goes, hey, Jason said if you eat mushrooms, it'll change your life. And I was like, oh, dude, well, the cannabis totally changed my life. Let's get some of those mushrooms, dog.
Yeah, you're already sold.
Yeah, I'm sold, man. And so we bought a bunch of mushrooms, and then me and a bunch of close friends of mine ate the mushrooms at my house. We just hung out in my front room, had a great time. But it was another quantum leap.
Wow.
It was like I saw even further down the rabbit hole that I couldn't see with just the cannabis alone. Mm-hmm. And so I took a week off of work, and I bought like a couple ounces of mushrooms, and every day I would eat as many as I could.
You wanted more. You wanted more of this experience.
Well, yeah. I saw this is something, and so I had a crawl space in my house that was pitch black, but it was tall enough that I could actually stand up in it. So it wasn't necessarily crawl space. And so I would eat mushrooms and then I would go sit down there in the pitch black
and wait for something to happen, and just like you wanted to be alone.
Oh, it happened. And I would see how far it would take me. Wow. Because I was already suicidal.
Sure. So you would hit your rock bottom. So you're
right.
like, I've got nothing to lose.
Right.
Wow.
And after going through the experience and realizing, although I died, my ego died, I wasn't going to die. I was going to come back. Then I was comfortable seeing how far I could go down. So it's very easy for me to totally relax. Although there was a kaleidoscope of reality changing and shifting around me, it's very easy for me to just totally relax and allow it to just sweep me away into this. Because I would receive a lot. Like I was downloading tremendous amount of information when I was in these other dimensions.
Wow.
Yeah. I was making friends. I mean, I could remember very specifically, there was 2 male figures. They looked like Mario and Luigi.
Oh, really?
Yep. And it was one of the first times that I ate a bunch. I went down the crawl space and they were excited that I was there. They're pumped.
Mm-hmm. Like fact, long lost friends kind of thing, huh?
100%. In fact, even now, whenever I take a high dose, I have friends in these other dimensions. They're very childlike, and they're excited to see me.
Wow.
They're pumped. They're like, oh, yeah, he's back, you know?
Were your friends having this type of experience? Did you share this?
No. Oh, yeah, I would share, but none of them were having this experience.
Really?
Well, no. So in the 1960s, there was a psychologist named Dr. Timothy Leary. He started experimenting with LSD and things like that.
Now is that the synthetic version of this, or is that a whole different thing? Because wasn't he doing something with synthetic?
Yeah, LSD is synthetic. In my experience, they're all the same.
Because it's a chemical thing and they're just replicating it in a lab, and it's
the experience is the exact same thing. I mean,
really?
I went to the jungles in Peru and drank ayahuasca with shamans. It was the same thing as eating a bunch of mushrooms in my experience.
Okay.
Because they're all meant to mimic death, karma, rebirth.
And release that I think about what Eckhart Tolle says all the time, that when you die, your story and everything that isn't really you will be left here.
Right.
And that's going to be...
Yeah, it's left here in the memories of the people that are here.
Yeah, and I mean, and then your true self emerges, the infinite self, right? So it sounds something like that.
Oh, 100%. So Timothy Leary, through his research, he found that the psychedelic experience was almost identical to what in Tibet, they were the process of dying and rebirth. And so the psychedelic experience is that you take the psychedelics, your ego dissolves, and in that, when it dissolves, you go through what are called bardos, which are just levels of your karma. You're going to go through. You're going to see certain archetypes, and you're going to be able to go through your karma, past experiences, all these different types of things. And then, if you're able to let them go and release at the end of the trip, 6 to 8 hours, you're reborn as a different person, and having literally let go. I mean, I remember in Peru, drinking ayahuasca, and just just being blasted off into the universe. In fact, I remember in Peru, try to wrap your mind around this, is I experienced the feeling of infinity.
I can't wrap my mind around that.
Yeah. Where I was everything in the entire universe.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah. We all are. But it's very boring.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is that why we project and come down
exactly
in
right.
cities? Yeah.
Because it's very boring.
It must be.
Infinite.
Otherwise, we would just hang out there and do that.
Right. And you can. But it's boring.
But it gets old.
Right.
Which is kind of strange to hear, but on the other hand, you want this like
you said, we want our hands in the clay.
Yeah, the hands in the
just
clay.
Like Abraham talks about.
Yeah.
Like Abraham's bored.
Yeah.
That's why they're projecting through Esther to teach.
Well,
it's
boring.
boring.
And they say it all the time. They say we get a lot out of your experiences.
Yeah,
like,
it's boring.
Not just you. Like everything's connected.
Right. And
That's
so,
fascinating.
I had that experience in the jungle, and so one of my most profound visions was in March of 2006. Where I saw into the future, and I saw that there's going to be a lot of transformation
I can
that
imagine.
we're going through as a collective, and that I had a big part to play in helping people evolve their consciousness. And in the beginning, like I was like, oh, I have no idea what this means, but
Right.
it was installed at a cellular level.
You mean before you were even born, or during this transformation of your own, or when was it installed? During that trip?
had to been. I was only realized in that trip.
Yeah, you're right. Because like
I came
you said,
here
all of the
knowing.
data's inside. It's
Right.
just what are you going to activate, or where are you
Right.
going to? Yeah,
So I mean, when you just said
dormant
that,
kind of until you activate
right?
it.
Yeah, I
Wow.
knew coming here what my purpose was.
At that point in time on that trip. Prior to that, maybe not so much. Or prior
to that, I didn't. But
2000.
prior to that, was just part of my story.
Yeah.
And then that was a quantum moment in my life where then I discovered my purpose. So before I came, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many lives I've lived because I can't remember them.
Yeah.
But I think just on my own, based on my experience, is that I've gone through, I have learned a lot of the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why.
Because you've done the work and you're
Right.
in the trenches.
Right.
I remember one thing that Ram Dass talks about when he had that stroke that put him in, and I think about this quite often when he talks about his experience now and his experience when he was a younger man. He says, that was him, this is me. That's like two different lifetimes. And I think we all kind of have that, two different lifetimes or multiple different lifetimes, even though it's one lifetime.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I can look back on saying,
I can too.
That's a figment of my imagination.
That was him. This is me.
Right.
Almost a different person, right?
Right. Oh, 100%. It's not even real. It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a story.
Yeah.
And in order to keep myself from going insane, is we have this chain of memories. But anything that's beyond us sitting down, it's not real. It's already gone. So it's not even real.
Right.
Never even happened.
Right.
This is just a stream of consciousness that we're just blah, 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 spouting out.
Right.
It's not real.
It makes, when you say it like that, it makes, when people are either in really shitty situations, we've all been there, right? Or really feeling bad about something that's happened, something someone said to us, something we did, it makes that seem really freaking trivial.
Right.
Because
it
it's
will
all
pass.
our own, it's all what we do with it.
Right.
Right.
And it's any sort of emotion is just an addictive trigger. It's a trigger that's triggering an addiction that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So if something happens in your reality and it triggers an emotion such as anger, frustration, sadness, those emotions is something inside of you telling you you're having an emotional reaction to an addiction that you have.
Mm-hmm.
You're addicted to something.
Something's resonating in there.
Right.
And tuning it. That's because you're right. If that experience was outside and you didn't have it inside,
right,
it wouldn't affect you.
Right.
Like I think a lot about like sappy love songs, or like say country songs that are like super low. Everyone's left me, my woman's left me, my dog's left me, and it's like those don't resonate with me anymore. It's like there's nothing you can lose.
Right.
Like there's
nothing you can lose when you gain everything inside.
Right, there's nothing you can lose. If it's outside of you and you lose it, you've lost nothing.
Right.
But
it's easy to say.
It's easy to say. Thank you for saying that.
Easy to say.
Thank you for saying that.
But
because I've been there when something outside, when an experience or circumstances has been in play, and it has sucked.
Yeah.
Inside. So thank you for clarifying.
There's you wouldn't have been given the gift of the experience if there wasn't something for you.
Yeah, there's a higher,
the death of your own child is there to teach you something, whether it be compassion or empathy or something. There's a deep level.
It's there for
especially
a
in
purpose.
death. Death, any quantum moment has the most profound gift in the form of a lesson in it.
And I mean, I remember when I used to fear death and the unknown. Now I still fear. I mean, I don't know if fear, but I don't want to have pain. But I don't, as far as death, I mean, I know that it's a continuum, and it's like there's nothing can ever really die, so it's just going to be some different experience.
But even that, I mean, that's easy to say.
It is.
I have a fucking son that I love, and if that motherfucker dies, I'm going to be. Yeah. It's going to be something. It's going to be something, but I also know that, I mean, Marcus Aurelius talks about it, is in having total resolve. Even at the death of your own child, you have to have unwavering resolve.
Right. Now, that is probably one of, child, parent, sibling. Right. I mean, I think a lot of things easier to take of ourselves. It's when something happens to someone else. That's when it's really hard. Yeah. So you're right. That's one of the peaks, can you really, in that moment, let it go. It's gonna or realize that it's all part of this.
Right. What am I meant to learn? What is the infinite stimulate? What lesson is the infinite using this experience to teach me? It's something at a deeper level, because I think that for all of those, a major breakup, divorce, loss of a job, loss of a loved one, it's oftentimes that people can look back on those quantum moments and say, that was when my whole life changed. But you got to go through it right.
If you use it for a catalyst to change or a catalyst to shrink or become more victim, then because you go either way, it can bump you either way. Right?
100%. Up or down. Become better or bitter. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Again, I believe in immortality, so I'm doing my best so that
keep getting bumped up. We want to keep getting bumped up.
And I want to bump the people I want you to live forever.
Thank you.
So that we can live forever together. I ask people this question: hey, if you knew you could live forever and the people that you love could live forever, why would you want to die?
No, because you just get better and better and better. Oh, well, other than, and we've talked about this before, like you said, if you had the whole perspective of the universe, would you get bored? Like, have you remember the Highlander games or not Highlander games, Highlander the movie?
I've never seen it.
Well, the idea is that, there's these immortal beings and they only die if you chop their head off. So there was like a few of them, right? And they're living forever, right? They've living for thousands of years. And
I've got to watch this.
You watch it because it might change your perspective, because what happens in this movie is like they see everyone they've loved ever die. They die. They see so they're living through these things that are kind of horrible experiences for you to live in one lifetime. Yet they're living it over and over. Multiple wives dying, multiple children dying, and it kind of looks like they become callous to that. It looks like it sucks. They paint the picture that it sucks. Yeah, and I can definitely see that. You need to see that movie.
But that's kind of like the dystopian point of view.
It is.
Whereas if my view would be is that. I think
that's bumped. Yeah, they're getting in.
We're all on this never-ending journey to reach immortality. So if I can share that and I can help those who are ready accomplish that immortality, like my son, like my the people that I love and care about most, if they're open and receptive to it, then all right, cool. And then if I guess it's the same, I believe that if Noah died, it was because he wanted to die.
I agree. Yeah. And it's his journey. We're all on our own individual journey and path. And ultimately, you can kind of try to give him the best knowledge, share the knowledge that you've got. And I think about like speeding up how he's going to get to where you're at faster. Each generation shortens that. And then ultimately at the end of the day, we all have that free will choice to do what we want with our life, either, whatever road. It's fascinating.
It really is. It's freaking mind-blowing.
It is. Awesome.
I mean, because I don't think any of this stuff, it all found me. I didn't find it.
I feel that same way.
Yeah, like it's
but
not.
but something was in you that activated, and I think it's in all people. I just think some people either choose to allow it to be activated, or like books will come to you, or people come to you, or information comes to you. But how long were you conscious of a time when you were resisting that, or were you even aware of?
I think it was just ignorance.
Like Think and Grow Rich could have been sitting on the counter for your whole life.
Right.
I mean,
well, man, when you say that something was activated, the God within me was activated.
Yeah, what activated it, right? The pain?
The experiences that I had. Yeah, if it weren't for the pain, then I might not have been so open to consuming cannabis or mushrooms, but it was through those experiences that it was activated.
Yeah.
Because before I was trying to find spiritual purpose through superficial means. To me, religion is very superficial.
It is.
There's a lot of people that can quote the Bible, but they don't live a righteous life. Mm-hmm. And to me, you're just a hypocrite. Mm-hmm. Whereas for myself, like I don't care to, hey, I'm right, you're wrong. Mine's the only way. In fact, hey, I believe I have humility enough that if Jesus comes floating down out of the sky, I'm the first one there to say, hey man, I'm really sorry. Yeah, I heard you're really forgiving, so sorry I didn't believe in you, but man, I got your back 100%.
Yeah.
But for right now, that makes no sense to me.
No.
But I'm open enough that, hey, if there's a better way that comes along, and if you share that better way with me, then, oh yeah, man, I'm open. But I mean, Krishnamurti said it the best is, when you define yourself as anything, you cut yourself off from everything.
Yeah.
I'm an American, I'm a man, I'm a Christian, whatever. Those definitions cut you off from everything. Listen, I don't know where the hell I came from. Yeah. I don't know where the hell I'm going. I could care less. Because all that matters is the here and now.
Right.
That's it. I'm having an experience across from one of my best friends. That's it, Yeah. All that other shit is irrelevant.
Yeah.
And then all the other stuff. Hey, how can I be? The highest level of emotions are love, compassion, gratitude. So I'm like, how can I develop those where I'm living in those emotions more and more and more? And when you're focused on that, then you're like, oh, when something happens, you're like, oh, how quickly can I forgive so I can get back to love and gratitude?
I love it.
Well, we were talking in basic. They were talking about, have you ever been driving down the freeway and someone cuts like across all the lanes? And I was like, no, never. That never happens to me, ever.
That energy is just not around you
at all. I'm never
or maybe you
in
just
a
never
hurry.
Noticed it. I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, but regardless, it's not in your consciousness.
Yeah, never. I drive with the cruise control. I don't speed ever. I'm never in a hurry. I'm a half an hour early to everything most often.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, guess what? Those things never happen. Whereas I have a friend who's like real spiritual, but every time I'm in the car with him, dude, he's pissed off. He's like attracting road things.
That is where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah.
Because that obviously his ego or her ego is very strong still, and it's a smite like that person cut me off.
Right? It's like, oh, that never happens to me.
Like, I never use my horn, and even if someone gets in, I just because I'm
the guy that lets everybody in. I'm like, oh yeah, come on in. Like I got nowhere to be in a hurry. Come on in. We
need to look out for each other because we're all connected. It's all one thing.
Right.
Give and take. One day you're going to be out of your brain a moment of low
people
level
always
awareness.
Let me in when I need them to let me in. Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to just give that give and take.
Totally.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, life is just a very natural and spontaneous flow. At least that's how the life I'm trying to create for myself.
I think it is. I think that's true. And in my experience, if I allow it to be that flow, I can certainly push that oar in the water and go try to paddle upstream.
Right. But
I'll tell you, when you let it just come and let it flow, it's so much better.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, it's just it's a dream as opposed to a nightmare.
Right. It's a total dream, full of just fun and satisfaction and fulfillment, you know? Just, I mean, I don't even, in my boat, I don't even have.
Yeah, you don't even have, you dropped yours miles ago.
No, dude, I don't even, I'm just
Good
laying
point.
back. I've got my God self. He's the gondola.
Yeah,
He's the one
steering you.
Yeah. Hey, man, can I get you a drink?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, man. You know, where are we headed to?
I love that idea that we have someone on the other side or all knowing that's helping us. And
Right.
it gives me so much reassurance to think about that.
Right.
That it's not just us trying to figure it out, or like, if, you know, we have a kind of a question, like I look at it's like CEO, business co-partner,
Right.
partner in life.
Yes.
But if you don't use that, then you do feel kind of shut off and and it's like, oh, I've got to figure it out. I'm just me.
You're the victim.
You're the victim.
You're the victim.
You have no resource. You have no connection to anything higher.
Right.
No perspective. No more knowledge.
Well, or your perspective is, your perspective at that level is based on someone else's story. You've bought in someone else's story, and therefore your perspective is limited to the limits of that story. Whereas I'm going to choose to believe that I am God, and there's a part of me that's infinite, that transcends time and space. There's a part of me that's already 2 hours ahead of where we are right now. And I'm connected to that.
Yeah.
And that's another great thing that I got rejuvenated with, and just reminded of, is a better word, is from Basic this past weekend. Is they do this this exercise called workshop of the mind. And even Abraham talks about workshop, the workshop in your mind. And
what's this premise? What's the deal? Using your imagination to live
every day to literally create what you want before you go out. And so
pave that road.
Right. So I mean, they talk about, hey, create your ideal office, your workshop. And so I do. I drew it out.
Did you?
Oh, yeah, in detail. I know I have carbon fiber tile floor. I love wood, so real nice, like walnut or like cherry wood. I have a big, long conference table where all of my like imaginary chair people.
Board,
right?
Your
My board, right?
Sure.
All of my books, like everything, like I details in my mind, and then it talks about you should have an assistant, and this assistant will do anything you tell them to do.
Yeah, give them the assignment,
right?
Because like you're the CEO and the director, and then everything else is orchestrated. But I love that. I love that.
Yes,
well, that's been one of the biggest realizations, and it's still unfolding. Is this notion that we get to decide,
right?
Like it's not some predestined or whatever. Like we get to decide. And I still think about this all the time. Something Brian Tracy said, you know, that it never occurs to some people that they get to decide. It didn't occur to me for a long time.
Right.
I thought I was kind
of.
I mean, I was making decisions at a lower level, but until you sit like at the top, the chairman of the board decisions,
right,
then you're always thinking someone's above you and nothing's above us,
right? Well, at that level, again, at the level of victims believe in luck, good luck or bad luck. But when you are I am the creator, I am creating everything in my life, then you're like, oh, well, what do I want to create? And then I'm going to focus on what I want to create. And then I'm gonna follow that road.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put, like you said, design it out, and just
right.
I mean, but still fun to do that, right? Still fun to do some of the things.
The more fun you have, the faster materializes.
Make the calls to do the
right.
You know, but what you're inspired to do, but it's not. But it's only when you're inspired.
Right. And I feel that because a part of this evolution that we're going into is there's the inner dimension, the inner world of your imagination. And if you can spend, again, 80-20, 80% of the work is inner work. So if you can create that vision of exactly what you want to create, exactly what your circumstances look like, then it's going to materialize so much faster than just force of will in this world, which is only 20%.
Yeah.
So it's spending that time, and it is. Chuck, who was the facilitator, was talking about he has 2 grown sons that are highly accomplished.
I'm sure.
And he was talking about one of them. They've both been through all of the training. He would not study for these big tests. He would go into his workshop and he would tell his assistant to do all the study.
Wow.
And he was acing tests.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I need you to do the studying for me.
Mm-hmm. Because the knowledge is already in him.
Right.
The assistant's bringing it to the level of...
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, your higher level you does not know the difference between imagined reality and reality. So if you can go into this workshop and you can make it real by spending time in it, then that dimension is, everything's already connected. So all the knowledge that's ever been, you have access to. And so you can tell your assistant, hey, I need you to do all this research for me so that when we take that test, I'm 100% ready for it.
Yeah.
Because you're my assistant.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Because then anything is possible.
Anything. And I think that that's the more and more the realization and the reality I want to create for my life is that anything is possible and that I am so much more powerful than I give myself credit for. In fact, I have to, in order for me to manifest my vision, I have to believe that.
Right. Yeah.
In order for me to teleport my physical body, I have to believe that anything is possible. So I need to tell my assistant, hey, I need you to be constantly, your number one priority is to be researching.
Yeah, figure
Figure this
Tell
out.
me how I need to, give me the info.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's such a great tool for anyone to put in their bag of tricks, because when we're the designers, I think it is like a cosmic creator, right?
Right.
And you write your list of what you want and send it off, and then just be open and wait for opportunities that are going to come to you. But I didn't always think that way. I was down in the hierarchy of the organization.
Right.
I was like
you were in the mailroom.
Mailroom sometimes.
Yeah,
middle manager other times. Which at the time wasn't bad. It was where I needed to be at that time to, like you said, learn those lessons or get that knowledge, because all that, every stone is valuable.
Right. Everyone.
As you go through.
Yep.
But once you find the golden elevator where you're like, what's this?
Yeah.
Where does this go?
Well, also to that point is that in your workshop, there's an elevator.
Oh, really?
Yes.
In your workshop, in your mind, there's an elevator. Where does it go? Do you ride that? Are you riding this on?
Well, he talks about that's where your assistant comes in and out of.
Oh.
But in my workshop, so my elevator connects to different levels in my house, because my workshop is deep underground. It's
like Tony Stark's style?
Yes,
Okay.
100%. In fact, beyond the glass are all my cars and motorcycles and stuff.
Okay, so you got this view out to your underground garage with all your toys.
And that elevator goes right into my room. So I can ride the elevator right up to my room, or make stops like, hey, in the kitchen or the main level or
Get
here.
yourself a snack.
Right.
Go to the workshop.
Yeah. But I mean, now that you
awesome.
say that, I think the elevator is to go from conscious.
The messenger or the assistant
Right.
comes down, gets the directive, and goes up and makes it happen.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So
I
I mean,
love
it's
that.
good. It's in fact, that's like what Tom Wilhite said, is that if there's one thing that they could really teach, it's just to teach the workshop.
If you
Everything
could
else
distill
is
it down
filler.
to one
Yep.
like practice or tool.
Yep.
Well,
The
it
rest
seems
is filler.
super powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, I sometimes think about that. We're going through the motions of, I kind of transcended reading books. It's kind of because I'm not that I don't need and want more knowledge, but it's like they reach a point where you're like, okay, it kind of seems archaic now.
Yeah,
right?
what more do you need?
Yeah. Again, back to Brian Tracy, that guru, when he talks about Galileo's quote that no one can teach you anything, they can just help you bring it to a higher level of awareness.
Right.
It's all in you.
They're just reminding you of things you already know.
I think that's one of the reasons why, social media and stuff is becoming saturated, and you're seeing, whether they're trying to sell a product or this or that, which once you see that thousands of times from many different perspectives, it's like, all right, I'm kind of bored with this now.
Right.
Right. You know it.
Yeah.
It's in, you know what they're going to say. Granted, it's all the same.
It's all the same. It's just packaged from a different personality.
Where we're going and what's coming for us is going to be so incredible, because there's just like frenzy right now of everyone trying to scramble to get position or whatever in the market or in the economy. That has to break. Because you can't have everyone selling everything. It's got to transcend.
Well, to that point is when we're talking about like training, is that I want more people selling the training, because I want
the knowledge,
I want that knowledge spread.
Yeah.
Because it's the collective is a computer with each individual being a node, and I want them to upgrade.
You want them to those nodes to light to light up and go.
Right. So I don't care where you learn it from. I just want you to learn it.
Well, and you're right. I definitely I need to kind of rescind and take a different perspective. Yeah, there's no amount of continuous reaffirming. Right. Whether it's this person or that person or whatever, and you may get it from this person selling something or this person checking you out at the grocery store.
Right.
So you're right, that because I look at it as I feel like I go to sleep and wake up, go to sleep and wake up. I've noticed that cycle getting shorter and shorter. Like it used to be maybe long periods of time.
Yeah, me too. Wow. Yeah.
Shorter. It's like
but that's how you know that there's it's about to pop.
It's about to pop, or there's about to be like integration. Like
yes.
Full integration. It's like you won't forget anymore.
Right.
Or it's like, because I'm a big fan of like you are, practices, writing stuff down, like the I am processes,
right?
Who you want to be, what you want to do, write it. And then you forget it for a few days and you're like, oh, I got to get back to the practice. Because if you don't go to the gym for a while, you atrophy. You don't do the work, you atrophy. It's that full integration.
Right. So what's like the, chop wood, carry water in your own life?
The focus, we're focused. What I'm focusing on, I'm a big fan of the being, because I want to get to the core. Because if you focus on being, that's where I focus most of my attention now. Who do I want to be? And I do the mind visualization, falling asleep or at any given point in time. Being in that environment is making it as real as I can. Being that person.
Yes.
And that seems to be, because I'm like we've talked about, I want to do one thing and have it cascade, ripple to everything.
Right.
I don't want to. I've gone through those things of 20 practices or this or that, and you know what? That's valuable, but the one thing, like a meditation is a one thing.
Right.
Like focusing on. And I kind of look at it as building out a self-concept, self-image, self-concept.
Yes.
Change that one thing, and then everything else, it's
100%. Changes magical.
It changes magical.
But even doing that one thing, you have to do it every day.
You do. And that's one thing, and I'm glad you brought that up, because this is something that, is real in the world. It's not like one and done.
Right.
Even the most successful person has to do the work. The Rock has to lift the weight every day, or he would not be The Rock.
Right. Every day. So yeah, to that is, what's the one thing I can do that will create the most amount of change?
Kind of like back to Gary Keller's book. If you transform that into like a spiritual thing, he's talking about business, but the spiritual, the core, the Neville Goddard, I've got that quote up there too. If man or human beings change their self-concept, everything else changes.
Yes. Yeah, and
but it still takes that work of, and I think that to answer your question, that work is go into the mind, like you said, which is
right.
We're not taught that, and I think it's just as hard to think a thought that is very radical from what your current thought is. That is to live at 100 pounds.
Yeah, totally. Especially to think that thought every day or multiple times a day, every day.
It's lifting the weight is hard. thinking that thought because it's so different.
Right.
It's so different.
Yeah. So I would challenge you to go and create your workshop.
I'm going to.
And to really spend time
that.
and to design it,
Specific.
decorate it.
I love that.
Yeah. Like what are the
I'm
materials that you use and to spend time every day. It doesn't need to be a set time. Like with TM, it's 20 minutes, you know. Mm-hmm. It's just go in and go out there.
Right. Well, because I look at it as anything's going to be beneficial.
Right.
So you don't have a specific time frame each day. You're just as much as you can.
Just go in.
There. Just go
in.
And
even Chuck was talking about feel it, like actually be in it and feel the, okay, like this is the wood that I want, like start seeing it and it will materialize. Because I mean, the minute turns into an hour. Because one day you'll spend only a minute in there, but one day you'll spend an hour in there. But you'll never get to the hour, right? If you don't spend the minutes. It's all about consistency. Just like with The Rock. I mean, he goes to the gym every day.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, even having this conversation, I would say that will, for me, affect the greatest amount of transformation is spending time in that workshop.
I was thinking about this, speaking of The Rock and speaking about what you're talking about. I'm almost certain that dude spends as much time in the mind as he does in the gym.
Totally.
Look at the way he can create anything he wants. The shoe, the Under Armour shoe, right? His clothing, his apparel line, because I think what people are doing in the real world is a mirror of what they're, because it doesn't just happen by accident.
Right. Yeah, no way.
And also, even he's probably doing that mind inner work, but his channel is really open for when he goes to bed, his messenger assistant gives him an idea on a piece of paper and says, Rock, make this.
Right.
Hire someone to make this and then promote it.
Yep.
And then because he's now to the level where he can just, call.
It's all coming to him.
Make a shoe.
Right.
I'm sketching you out some.
He doesn't even have to say make a shoe. They're coming to him and say, hey, do you want to make a shoe? When you're in the total
We got the
flow.
Message from your assistant that you want to make a shoe.
Right.
What do you want to make?
Yeah, what do you want to make?
Yeah.
Hey, we want to do a deal with you.
His channel is so open.
Right.
And he's not the only one, There's a lot of people that channel are so open that they're just creating boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Or they and their team are creating.
Yeah.
That's when I think life gets super awesome.
Yeah, man, I know it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you're a master creator.
You're a master creator and you're doing what you came here to do. You have no resistance to that. You're just in the flow.
Yeah, because he is inspiring so many
every day.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, when is that, we think about these people like, let's say Gandhi. Rock is a Gandhi.
He is.
He is inspiring.
He's a super creator.
Right. And he's inspiring people that, hey, if I can do it, you can do it.
He is. Because he's a human being.
Yeah. Just through his own uniqueness, creating a dream lifestyle.
And all of his creations are unique and like imprinted in a way that no one else can create, like his production company or his shoe or his movies. I mean,
yes.
And I think that's when because we all have that, a channel that's waiting or an assistant that's waiting on the other side of those elevator doors,
right,
for you to open the button and for them to give you, here's your thing.
Yes.
That's what's mind blowing, because when you talk about 8 billion people on the planet having something that's supposed to come through them that is unique to them, that is super awesome, just like the Rocks. Can you imagine?
So that's the question is, what do you want yours to look like?
It's forming now.
Yeah.
I mean, the podcast is a part of it.
Yeah.
For many, many years, that was suppressed and/or wasn't ready.
Right.
Either mentally, physically, whatever, wasn't ready. But again, back to that workshop, the Focus and Flow product line, that was something that came through. It was a bumpy ride landing that one. But again, because we all love to create. I do believe it. And I love to create. Heck, you're the one that turned me on to that test, the Roger Hamilton test, remember?
Oh, Wealth Dynamics? Dude, everybody I make them test. Have you friended me on that?
I don't know, but you turned.
You gotta go to Genius U. It's a Facebook.
Joe Polish or no?
No, it's Roger Hamilton.
Oh, is it him?
It's a Facebook for
I think
the Wealth Dynamics.
Okay, it's a group.
It's a Facebook.
Okay.
Where you can like create a social profile and then you can connect with other people and you're a creator, you're a lord.
It's not on Facebook, it's a platform.
Right, it's a platform.
I'll go check created
it. It's amazing. So anybody that I work with
I know
anymore,
you do. Yeah, you said that.
I make them take that test and
Still,
I make them go
the personality
Oh
profile.
yeah, 100%. But on Genius U, there is a vast well of other tests.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Your purpose test. Like, dude, and it's free. A lot of them are free.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason I bring that up is because it reaffirmed something that I kind of already knew. I fell in the creator realm. You fell in the Lord visionary realm, right?
Right.
And one of the things that I'm a big proponent of now, more and more and more, is the knowing yourself, knowing your knowledge, knowing about the genius, knowing your genius. Because when you know it, you're not gonna shouldn't play in the Lord visionary realm.
Right.
I could, but I probably wouldn't be as effective.
Right. 100%.
I need to play in the creator.
Right.
And that's when I have maximum. So those kind of things. Yeah, I tell people that all the time. I'm like, oh, this test I took from a friend of mine recommended it. It put me here. And other tests have kind of given me feedback as well, but that one was really good.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
And I can see why. It was really, really beneficial to self-knowledge.
Right.
Kind of teaching us again what we already know, but reflecting back.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it also his big theme there is teams win, not individual players.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, like mine's a lord. So for me, it's like, oh, hey, who's the supporting cast?
Yeah.
That, hey, I'm great with ideas. I'm great with systems and putting things together and details, but like
the technical side of things. Right.
That's not me. I'm not the creative type. And
you would lose momentum,
right?
And yeah, if you go there and play in that, and I think about that like with the E-Myth, you got the manager, the technician, and the visionary. If you try to play one of those roles, or all of them at once, your company just clunk down the road.
And what I'm even more hyper focused on since just learning more about being a lord is that I own the cash flowing asset. I'm an investor. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do. I really don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I just want to get checks in the mail.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like guess what? I want to just enjoy my life.
Okay. Well, but being a creator, that's you're creating in the Lord way. Would you really, so if you get the check in the mail, you're still going to go out and create. So to unpack that a little bit, tell me.
Okay, yeah. So, most people most people are doing what they're doing for money.
Correct.
So, like, I could see myself, I would love to get into acting, but it would have nothing to do with money.
Mm-hmm. Just because you enjoy it.
Right. That'd be a creative outlet. I love music. I play guitar every day. I love to sing. And so I would do that. But when you can come from a place where I'm just doing it as a way to express myself because it's that desire. It is that infinite.
Wants to come out.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me I'm naturally introverted. I love to just study. I love to just hang out. I love to just be.
Yeah.
And so
you'd have more. You do that.
Right.
Yeah.
You come to me and say, hey, I've got this project called Focus and Flow. I'd say, oh, I really like that idea. I'll give you $100,000 to invest in it. I get 50% of the company.
And put your input and ideas in to help grow it, like a Shark Tank.
100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%. I'm a shark. I'm an investor.
Yeah.
So I'll invest in your ideas. Hey, if especially as we're launching it, I'll work an hour a day on the project. I have a lot of connections. In fact, I think since we last talked, I just landed a big marketing deal for a huge brand called Supreme. It is a
clothing, apparel brand.
Huge brand that I just close the deal.
That it just fell into
100% just fell right into my lap. I have all the connections and I have the confidence that, hey, I know how internet marketing works. I know exactly what you guys are trying to accomplish. I know that I could lead that up. And then
they're probably creators and or,
right. So said, hey, here's our goal. Here's the objective that I believe that I can make happen. Mm-hmm. I want 25% of it. Mm-hmm. And so
the win-win.
Yeah, I have to work 5 hours a week.
Right.
Connecting some dots. Right. Mm-hmm. I'm just connecting the dots, and I just freaking started a cash flowing asset.
Yeah.
That now I own a percentage of a subscription, a monthly subscription.
Because you come with knowledge, like you said, and confidence, and when we bringing value. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to connect the creators and the this and the that, and I'm going to work 5 hours a week because my lifestyle is, I want maximum leisure time.
Yeah. I think everyone does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just most people, I don't think, they don't have the knowledge that you've acquired on your journey through books or mentors or classes or whatever, or personal development.
I mean, that's it. That's 80% of it.
Yeah.
Is having the confidence that when that opportunity presented itself.
You created the self-worth, inner value too. Right. I mean, that's a large part
Yeah,
of
when
it.
I closed that deal, those guys had no idea that, dude, I'm not going to be the one doing the work. Mm-hmm. I just know I can find people that can. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even have the people.
Right.
I just closed the deal and then I figured it out.
Right there, right? Which is, I talk about another inspiration, showing people what's possible. That guy is a freaking dynamo. I equate it to like the person running a faster mile, and then everyone's like, how?
Right. Yeah, someone has to break the paradigm.
He broke it huge with all his freaking, 5 companies now are all probably multi-million, if not close to billion.
Dude, he's got like $500 million under management in his real estate portfolio.
Capital.
Yeah.
He is a freaking dynamo.
Yeah.
Kudos to those people because they're forging, because there's no limit. I mean, they're showing that, hey, this is what's possible.
Right.
And then someone else can take it even further.
In fact, in his, in one of his books, either Be Obsessed or Be Average or 10X, he talks about he's mastered 10X action, but he says his weakness is 10X thinking.
You know what? I've heard him say something. I heard him say that if he's made a mistake, it's been that he didn't think big enough.
Right.
That's freaking mind.
I know my training, I could go in and I could get him 100X. On what he's doing. Because
you mastered 10X thinking.
Right. I think it's 80-20. 80% of everything comes from within. So you can be you can speed up being a billionaire, Grant, if you spend 20 minutes a day, and I know you have the will.
Oh yeah.
Spend 20 minutes a day in that workshop, feeling like a billionaire, going through closing multi-billion-dollar deals. You got to see yourself as a billionaire, because right now you're just forcing your will upon becoming a billionaire.
Yeah, and I can see why he would say that, because he come from that sales background where he had that sale. I am so confident I'm going to sell you this, right?
Right.
But to me, that equates to the mental power. So again, even though I've heard him say that he didn't think big enough, which is freaking mind blowing to me, because his empire is awesome, but it's awesome to see the humility of someone say that, because it makes, because everyone else that sees him and studies him, they learn that lesson and they don't have to go through the 25 years.
Right.
It's a huge factor in my mind. And that's why, before learning that type of lesson from him, what I wanted was 10 times less than what it is now.
Right.
And when he said that, I'm re-engineering. Boom.
Right.
New ideas, new stack in the field, because the way I look at it's like this seed, and the seed, it's just like, kind of like we're talking about, I don't know if it was you I was talking about with Jeff Bezos and Amazon, where for years and years and years, he was kind of a character, not making any profits, plowing it all back in.
Right.
Wall Street's like, dude, be nice to have some profits one of these days. It's like, wait, boom. I look at it as like this big seed, because the bigger the fruit on the vine, it takes a little longer to mature.
Right.
But would you rather take a little longer to mature or pull that fruit when it's, because most people are like, I want the instant gratification. I want to pick the.
Right. Yeah, I think he saw himself as the richest man in the world.
I think he would have had to, because again, the inner is the outer.
Right.
He would have had to.
Yeah.
But he kept delaying, kicking it down the road a little bit. And then finally, okay, I'll cash out.
Right.
Boom. Instant freaking.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
richest man.
But also when you look at what his physical appearance looks like now compared to back then, he's a totally different person.
He's a stud now, where back then he was kind of a geeky
dork
guy. Yeah. He's a computer geeky guy.
Yeah. Yep.
I've seen that transformation in Musk too, Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Money makes everybody better looking.
It does.
100%. That's a good thing.
Presence, the whatever you got, you can go to the best freaking spa and haircut
right.
artist.
Yeah. You got the best personal trainers. You're eating the best food. I mean, you can be focused on becoming your best. And I see that a lot with Grant, because I've been following him since 2014.
Yeah.
And this just confirms even to myself is that I know his self-concept and self-image has radically shifted from even then.
It would have had to have, because it seems like his fear, is because now the portfolio of companies, because back then it was just his training, right? His sales training, Cardone U or whatever. Now it's like boom.
Yeah, I mean it is had his, especially Cardone Capital, his real estate portfolio has exploded in the past few years.
He is a prime example of all of these things these massive empires or creative endeavors that are super joyful, super, prosperity. It's a prime example that it's all waiting for all of us. We just need to start on that path and then light up.
Right.
Bing, 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 bing,
right.
bing. Because look, this is what I think one of the biggest pitfalls is being a human. And I've definitely fallen into it in the past, is like looking at someone like what he has and looking at someone where you're at going, I can't, there's no way I could ever get there. I can't do that. Look at his empire. Look at this. Well, he didn't start there. He started, I remember.
Started in rehab.
Started
in fucking rehab.
That's why I love him sharing stories like that.
Yeah.
And the other thing I remember him saying one time is that he'd climbed up to and this was in one of his books, climbed up to the tallest branch in the selling automobiles, right?
Yep.
Maxed out. There's nowhere else to go. He had to climb down that tree, take a hit for 3-6 months, whatever.
Yeah.
No income.
Yeah.
Until he climbed up another tree that was infinite.
Yes.
Or built another tree.
Yeah. Because then he started training car sales company.
Because he maxed out.
Right.
I can only sell X number of cars, whatever, if I'm the best. And that's huge courage to go, okay, I'm going to climb back down this tree and lose money, or, whatever.
Well, that was kind of the test.
Knew.
I'm inspired to ask you, do you think that his God self living in the future as a billionaire, it already was living there? So that was just, that was one chapter.
You mean, what are you thinking of?
Well, think of how much he learned and how much he grew as a car salesman. Then you reach the top.
Yeah.
So
he needed that.
Right.
There's nothing, everything goes in the bucket.
Right. So something that was already living in the future knew that, hey,
what was waiting for him? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
I that's what I'm saying. But look how hard it was. And I think for all of us, there's a level of, like hero journey stuff. We got to go through some stuff. That was very uncomfortable for him to do that.
Yes.
It's very uncomfortable for people to shut out the comfort or the stability and build something kind of, because you're building on like faith and inspiration, and your people around you are going, you're freaking crazy. Because he goes, everyone told me I was crazy.
Right.
Because you stopped it.
Right.
I think he was making $300,000 a year or something, and he stopped it. And who wouldn't think you?
Yeah.
But he knew. Yes. I know. We know what's waiting.
Yeah. I mean, now I just think that, again, is if I have so my goal is to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
And I just say it's not really my desire.
Right.
It's a desire of the infinite.
Right. You're just going to play it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Because really it's not even about the money. It's about
the experience.
Not only that, but to show other people through my legacy project, which is coaching, that, hey, look at this. I became a billionaire in 2 years from setting the goal.
Yeah.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
If I can do it, you can definitely become a millionaire. I mean, in 2017, around September, October, I shot a sales video for my course. And in that video, I said, I believe that with this information, someone could go from zero money to $1 million in 12 weeks. Well, I went and did it.
Oh, you were that, you did it. You
I
made
did it
happen.
after making that video unconsciously.
Yeah.
From roughly September of 2017 to the end of 2017, I made over $1 million. I made $1 million in the month of December alone.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Just with the information. So it's 10x thinking. It's a millionaire. It's infinite thinking to say, hey, anything can happen. Anything can happen. There just needs one experience can change your entire life. So you could say, hey, I want to become a millionaire in 12 weeks. And if you really focus on learning the information and internalizing it and practicing it, because reading and memorizing will not change anything. It's the implementation of it. If you were to do that, then it could be, day 89 of 90 or even day 90. And you could meet someone who says, hey, I want to hire you and write you $1 million check. Something can happen, but you have to it's not about having faith. It's about knowing.
I agree.
Right.
I find that as the bedrock, but belief and, faith, belief, knowing is knowing.
Right.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. I am demanding this of the universe. When you can get to that level of certainty where you're like, you better make it happen. It will. Yeah. The universe will bend and morph around
because it's at your command.
Right.
Again, the beliefs are feeding out, the energy's sending out, reflecting back what we've asked for.
Right.
Subconsciously, consciously.
Yeah. Most people are just asking. Most people's desires, let's say for the $1 million, is weak, super weak. So they say, "Oh yeah, I want $1 million."
The heart's not in it,
right?
And also, I think we ask for too little. I know that I have asked for too, even though
Here you go.
Yeah, when you expect this, you're going to get something around that.
Right.
Ask for this, you're going to get around something like that. But when you just shoot for the sun, the moon, and the stars and the whole universe,
right,
then you're going to get something around that.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Gary, thanks for hanging out today.
Yeah, of course,
awesome.
man. Good stuff. Always, man. I love bringing this stuff up.
Dude, awesome.
I'm learning from it.
Well, yeah, that's why I think is so fascinating about this. You come together, sharing, learning, level up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what'd you think? Did you come away with some nuggets and some daily practices you can incorporate into your own routine? I know that I did. And I want to thank Gary again for coming by and sharing his knowledge and his journey with us. That's awesome. Thank you, Gary. I totally appreciate it. And if you want to share your feedback about this episode or any episode of Enhancing the Human Experience, the best place to do that is really on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/GMarkPhillips. You can leave comments. You can share them with people who you might think will benefit from hearing these episodes. All the good things that YouTube is awesome for. So we're going to wrap up this episode at that point in time. If you listened to the whole thing, thank you. I know it was super long, but also I feel it was really, really valuable as well. So until next time, all the best, health, wealth, and success. Bye-bye.